Oh yeah, it was fine dining. We had some steak, had like 2 bites of it.
Lock it down, Meat Boy MMA, predictions on the way. UFC, thrill one, gonna light up the day. Bet you stepping in, ready to throw down. Taking on a fighting nerve, gonna run this town. Michelle's back, you better take a step back. Easy lock in the octagon, no time to slack. Lion heart delusions, they ain't got what it takes. When Michelle's in the ring, they know their fate. The lockdown predictions, we always said it right. Meat Boy MMA, calling out the fights. Ecto versus Ursek, the battle's gonna roar. Just sit back and watch as we predict some more. As we predict some more.
What's good, Meat Boys? Yo, let's go. Episode 171 already, Meat Boy, and UFC 301 Brazil next pay-per-view, and thankfully last week's absolute snooze fest of a card is in the rear view. And if I had some tape, Meat Boy, then I'd be repping casual on the dome because your boy went 0-5 last week, and it made sense because we were discussing, and I was telling you I didn't have a lot of confidence, wasn't that bullish on most picks from last week, and boom, 0-5. That's what happens when there's zero bullishness. It's a straight over. So, and Meat Boy MMA first for your boy doesn't feel too great. You went 2-3 last week though, but did anything stand out from last week's snoozer of a card?
Not really, except for Alex Perez, like I said, is still a levels test for the division. Um, Great win. Great to see him back on that win column with a nice little finish versus a nice prospect. Austin Lane, absolute bum. We even kind of said, this is a touchy one, but yeah, there's not much. This card was pretty doggo. So yeah, and it's sad to see Tim Means go out, but I kind of saw that it was just inevitable. He's getting old. I hope he retires. Maybe he goes to BKFC, gets a bag from the big buddies over there, and goes out with a bang.
Yeah, Tim means the Dirty Bird could be pretty sick in BKFC for sure, but you called that definitely. He got absolutely slept by the Dr. Udos Medic, so great call there. You called Alex Perez, second round meat bomb sleeper for him over Matthias Nicolau, and obviously I thought Nicolau was going to get that one done. He didn't, contributed to my over for sure, and then I'd be remiss if we didn't mention Bumdog. Bogdan Guskov picked up a nice finish over Superman Span, who we both picked, so I might have to stop sleeping on Bumdog because Bumdog's getting finish after finish, so respect to Bogdan Guskov for sure. And then JSP versus Obama, very close fight. It was 1-1 heading into the third, and then ultimately Obama got the UD. JSP kind of faded a little bit down the stretch, but a close competitive fight. And then, yeah, lastly, you already touched on Meat Boy. Austin Lane ended the Meatlock streak. We had 6 in a row going strong, and we dink-dogged Austin Lane. 50 easy, ruined the streak, but it was interesting because he got a 10-8 in the first round. He was absolutely dominating, and then Austin Lane proved that he truly is the worst lane in UFC history, worse than Julian Lane. Let me bang, bro, and got smoked in the second round. So the meatlock streak is no longer, but we think we got a meatlock on this one. So you want to jump straight into 301, meat boy?
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a meat lock on this one. Not a touchy one, but a nice one, I'll say.
Yeah, not a touchy-feely meatlock, but an actual Jonathon Martinez, the Dragon meatlock. Minus 162 is reintroducing Jose Aldo back to the UFC, and we haven't seen Jose Aldo since 2022. When we did, he got absolutely dominated by Marab across 3 rounds, but he's since been doing some boxing, right? He boxed twice in 2023, had a draw against Jeremy Stiffus, and then got a victory against nobody in his second opportunity, but he's come back to the UFC, and I don't know what the context was. I don't know if the UFC offered him just a bag he couldn't refuse, or they needed him to save this card, but he's back. He's the co-meet event, and we think that Jonathan Martinez is just ready for this opportunity, right? Because the Dragon we've seen go on this beautiful 7-fight win streak. He's getting performance of the night finishes. Most recently it was against Adrian Yanez. Easy light work, leg kicks, and he did the same thing to Cub Swanson as well. Also picked up a performance of the night with those lethal leg kicks. So I love the matchmaking in this one. We like the Dragon as a meat lock. What are your thoughts on this one? Because if we think back to OG Jose Aldo, he was the original king of the leg kick. So how do you like Jonathon Martinez to get this one done in this meatlock? And how does the Dragon start a new streak?
Yeah, no, Dragon's gonna be an easy lock. I mean, you had me at Jeremy Stiffus and Jose Waldo had a tie in a boxing match. Well, Dragon is no Jeremy Stiffus. Dragon is the Dragon, the new era of Dragon, and I think he's gonna KO Waldo, send him back to BKFC. It's very sad to say. Honestly, another thing kind of caught me off guard. Since when did Jose Aldo get back to the UFC? I feel like nobody announced that. They're just like, oh, by the way, he's fighting. It's like, wait, what? I thought he was boxing or in the PFL or I don't know, or hanging out with Jake Paul or something weird in the boxing era. But I guess he's back, so that's pretty cool. But 2 years no MMA. He is Jose Aldo. He is a legend. He is the ex-GOAT. Does he still have it? Nah. I just don't think. 2 years going versus the Dragon, absolute killer. I could see a head kick KO first round by the Dragon.
Yeah, it's just kind of a rude awakening of a return opponent for sure. I mean, if this was Chris El Guapo Gutierrez, then perhaps Aldo could get this one done. But we think Dragon is just that next level, the new era, new school fighter. And while, yes, all the context should align for a Jose Waldo win, it's in his backyard, co-main event, all the. I mean, you mentioned that they kind of snuck him back into the UFC. It did kind of fly under the radar a little bit. But while all signs seemingly point to Jose Aldo, skill-wise, all signs point to Dragon, and the dude's fresher, younger, should be faster, should have all the intangible advantages, right? He's bigger dude, should be stronger in there, and I think that Tapology is kind of sleeping on our boy the Dragon, because even though Vegas has him as a moderate favorite, right, around minus 160-ish, Tapology sees it as an even split, 50-50, and it's basically all beige on both sides. So Tapology thinks it's going to decision. They're torn on who wins. Do you think Jonathon Martinez gets an early finish?
Yeah, I think he does. I think I don't know. It's Waldo. He's the GOAT. Crap, man. I don't know. I could see it going decision, but I don't know. Something tells me Dragon's got this momentum going, and I could see an early finish and put a statement. Like, hey, I'm the real Dragon. Aldo's dust, and I'm the future champ.
Yeah, I think a finish to me might be a pipe dream, but perhaps Martinez really does make that statement, really does announce himself to the world, and a finish over Jose Waldo would be next level. But decision to me does sound reasonable. So we're again going with the Dragon, trying to get us that 98th meat lock, start a new streak that Austin Lane clearly fumbled, but the Dragon we think recovers it and keeping it simple, throwing down an easy 162 to net 100, get us that 98th meat lock, and I think Martinez, ultimately, my final pick is by decision. So I like the Dragon by decision. You like the Dragon maybe by fake finish, likely decision. Any last thoughts on the Meatlock?
No, lock nonetheless. Once again, Dragon via KO.
Dragon KO is Meat's final take, so move us over, Meat Boy, because this one is another one that might have KO written all over it. It's Ismail Bonfim trying to just get that really bad taste out of his mouth that he was fed by Benoit Saint-Denis the last time he fought. And while, yes, it was already almost a year ago, which is crazy to think, he got absolutely smoked in the first round. And a lot of people were singing Bonfim's praises. This is the next champ. This is the guy who's going to beat them all. And then BSD movement absolutely smoked him light work. So we'll see if this is his opportunity to right the ship as he takes on Vince from Hell Pichel, who is 14-3, pushing 40 years old, and it's about a plus 400 dog in this one, despite having some decent UFC experience. I mean, if we don't forget, we can't forget this is a guy that has a win over Austin Hubbard, who won last week, and then has a win over Jim Miller, who has the most wins in UFC history. So Vince from Hell Pichel, while yes, he is a little bit older, yes, he is a sizable dog, he does have some decent UFC experience, and he's taking on Bonfim, who only is 1-1 and recently crashed and burned when the hype was burning brightest. So do you like him at minus 520? Is the Bonfim brother, are both the Bonfim brothers still the future GOATs, or is Vince from Hell Pichel going to absolutely smoke Ishmael?
Yeah, at one point I did think that Bonfim Bros were the GOATs and the future champs, but then Benoit came, and then Dustin Poirier came on Benoit, and it's like, yeah, maybe not yet, but you gotta remember Bonfim's only 28, and he's only gonna get better and better, and I could see Benoit and Bonfim fighting again for the belt in the next 5 years. They're both very young guys, but I think Benoit should win this. Hell Pichel, I don't know, a couple years ago, I would say maybe, from Hell Pichel, but he's 41. He just lost to Marco Madsen. He's been out for 2 years, and now he's fighting a 28-year-old stud that has been pretty active in the last 2 years, I would say. So I think this is going to be light, easy work, but I don't know. Vince always surprised me. I mean, he sent Austin Hubbard back to freaking Contender Series, or Dana White, uh, uh, the Ultimate
Ultimate
Fighter,
Fighter.
and then he beat Jim Miller, which makes no sense because Jim Miller beats everybody nowadays except for his last fight versus Bobby Green. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't like the age versus Bonfils. I think Bonfils gonna smash him. Kind of makes sense why he's such a big favorite.
Yeah, and you referenced that Vince from Helpy Shell fight against Jim Miller. He smoked Jim Miller too. Like that was 3 rounds to 0, absolute light work too. So that one's interesting. You wonder if they ran that back tomorrow, what that might look like. But nonetheless, good stuff from Pichel. And you're picking Bonfim, who you like because of the activity, you like because of the youth. If you're going with him, do you think he gets a finish? Because Tapology is pretty bullish on Ishmael Bonfim getting a finish. I mean, 95% is rolling with him over Vince, Ishmael, Pichel, and basically it's all Brown for the KO. So do you like Ishmael Bonfim to get the KO finish?
Oh yeah, I do. I do like Bonfim getting this fish. He's got coconut bombs in his hands, and also his jiu-jitsu is pretty solid. But I think it's gonna be on the feet for 90% of the fight. I'd be surprised if it goes down. And I think if he does win, it will be by KO, TKO. I mean, 41. That chin's got to crack eventually, right? And Bonfim throws absolute bombs with those fists.
Yeah, good call. Ishmael from Hell Bonfim probably should get this one done. I mean, Vince from Hell Pichel, as you mentioned, is basically 40, and I liked your point how he hasn't fought since 2022, so it's been a little while since he's been in there, and when we last saw him, he was getting smoked by Marco Madsen, who I'm pretty sure has since retired. So if you're getting smoked by retired fighters, then I worry about what you look like against 28-year-olds hype trains. However, me boy, I'm still not sold. I'm with you. I'm gonna take Ishmael Bonfim, but I'm not yet sold that this dude is future champ. I'm not yet sold that we even ever see a rematch versus him and BSD movement, and I want to see a little bit more from the Bonfim brothers before I jump aboard. So I think he gets this one done over Vince Pichel. I think it's gonna be close though, and I like this to go the distance. So I'm taking Bonfim by decision. Vince from Hell makes it interesting, but ultimately loses, and we'll see what the Bonfim bros do next. So I'm taking Ishmael decision. You have Ishmael KO. Any last thoughts?
No, it's a fun fight nonetheless. Let's get to the next one.
Yeah, move us over because this is one that I know you're going to be providing an interesting take for because I know you have a lot of bullishness in one direction on this one. So we got Jack Shore, 17-1, plus 140, taking on Joe Anderson Brito, aka Tubarão, who is minus 166. And this dude keeps finding ways to pick up UFC finishes. It's basically been a flawless run for him since earning that contract with what probably is the most impressive win in Contender Series history. I mean, Diego Lopez is arguably the best fighter to come out of Contender Series besides Sugar Sean and besides Jamal Hill. So the fact that Joanderson Brito was able to get that decision over Lopez really showcases how good Brito is. And he made his debut against Algio, lost, but since then it's been all easy light work finishes for him and finishes over JSP and Andre Fili. So some tough guys as well. And he's taking on Jack Shore, who at one point had his own, a lot of hype in his division, and Ricky Simone kind of put a halt to that back in 2022. But you got to applaud Jack Shore for his rebound finish over Makwan Amirkhani. And I was at that fight, Meatball. I was at the O2, and Jack Shore looks pretty good. He was hyping up the crowd. The crowd was way into it, and he returned with a beautiful finish over Makwan. So any chance Jack Shore at plus 140 gets this one done, rediscovers that sauce, and shows Tubarão that Jack Shore is the real hype train, or is Tubarão kind of the GOAT and maybe he's on his way to a title shot in the next 9 months or so? Who are you taking?
Yeah, I think Brito, Shark, Bandito, I think he's honestly going to absolutely ragdoll. This dude has wins over, Andre Fili, Diego Lopez, the chosen one, everyone in the UFC fan base that's, drooling over. He absolutely demolished Diego Lopez in Contender Series, and they're bound to run that back. And then he submitted, JSP, which is a, very, very impressive win. The dude is the real deal, and I feel very bad for Jack. I think Jack is going to lose anywhere where this fight goes. On the ground, on the feet. Brito, the Shark, Bandito is going to absolutely ragdoll him from beginning to end.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, where do you think Brito will have the advantages? Because Jack Shore, we know, is a guy who's pretty well rounded, right? Of his wins, of his 17 wins, 4 decisions, 4 knockouts, 9 submissions. So we know he is pretty competent on the ground, and we've seen him pick up 3 finishes by submission in the UFC already. So we know that he's pretty slick down there, but Chubarao is just a guy who just seems so much stronger than everyone in this division. And I mean, when you're picking up like the easy light work finishes that he did against JSP is a massive dude for the division, and while yes, JSP was winning that fight, he was really landing a lot of strikes on Brito. The fact that Brito was able to lock up that submission so tight and so quickly, like just in capitalizing on the opportunity, I don't know. That to me spells trouble for his opponent. So if this fight hits the mat, do you see the strength of Brito just overwhelming Shore, or is Shore going to find a way to get sneaky with the submissions like he has in the past?
Yeah, no, I think Brito is going to absolutely decimate him. So Jack Shore versus Ricky Samoan. I know Brito ain't Samoan, but I think it's gonna look just like that. Ricky Samoan went with the triangle second round, easy light work. It was kind of a bully beatdown, and I think Brito's gonna do the same thing because I think Brito is significantly better than Ricky Samoan.
Yeah, fair play, and stylistically could be a pretty similar looking fight for sure. So I'm with you, me boy. I like Jack Shore. However, I'm going to take Brito in this one. I'm rolling with you. I like Brito probably to get another finish, dude. I mean, the fact that this guy keeps winning, keeps getting finish after finish until he wins a decision, then I'm just going to assume if Brito is winning a fight, he's winning by a finish. And because I think he's going to win this fight, the math suggests he wins by a finish. So taking Brito, going to take him by second round finish. Not sure if I'm more bullish on the submission or the KO TKO. So just any type of finish, I think, is the call for Brito. So any last thoughts on that one? And is Brito getting a title shot in the next couple months? Like, is he that dude?
I feel like he is that dude. I feel like it's almost inevitable. Maybe him and Diego Lopes run it back, and the winner of that they pump because they want Lopez to be there, right? But no, a very very fun fight. This fight I'm probably most excited about. Throw in the comments. Are you taking the Shark Burrito Bandito, or are you taking Mr. Shore?
Yeah, let us know for sure because this could definitely be the opportunity for Brito to announce himself to a new audience. And on a UFC 301 card, Jack Shore might be the right opponent. So let us know down low. Swap us over to Meat Boy because this is another fun one. Kyle Bohalio, the fighting nerd, is taking on Paul Craig.
You might know him better by his nickname, the Bear Jew.
And Paul Craig is plus 410 in this one. And I don't know if anyone has a more deceptive UFC tenure than Paul Craig, because if you just list out, I mean, just list 4 of his good wins. Here they are: Magomed Ankalaev, Kenny Nzechukwu, Nikita Krylov, and Jamal Hill. All dudes who somehow got smoked and finished by Paul Craig. And obviously, I say get smoked a little bit jokingly, knowing the how Magomed was dominating him for that whole contest. But nonetheless, Paul Craig has wins over all those dudes, and as always, he's plus 410. So the odds makers seem to often sleep on the Bear Jew, but as soon as everyone's sleeping, the Bear Jew is awakening everyone with some upsets that people don't expect. So he's taking on the fighting nerd who is minus 550. The true free spirit is undefeated 5-0 in the UFC, has some decisions, mostly decisions to be honest, with the one finish over Michel Oleg but he's undefeated and is taking on the Bear Jew in this one. So who you got? Do you take Paul Craig as plus 410, or is it another easy light work for the free spirit?
Yeah, no, I think this is easy light work. Um, Honestly, I would love to pick Paul Craig, but I think the ultimate gamer is might be the future champ. His last fight, honestly, his last few fights, he just looks so insane. It's just like, holy smokes, this kid's a real deal. Probably one of the best prospects to ever, come out of Dana White Contender Series, I would say, in recent times. Um, and I just wonder how good this kid is. This is a good levels test. I mean, we saw what Paul Craig did to Jamal Hill, and Jamal Hill was a big hype train. I wonder if that similar thing might happen, or will the natural get the better of him? I gotta go with the natural, the age, his momentum. I think momentum is key and confidence. And Paul Craig's kind of stagnant. Like he knows he's not gonna be champ. He's just kind of fighting paycheck by paycheck. Just got mauled by my boy All In Allen. Got knocked out by Johnny Walker. Like it's not looking promising to be a title. To be the champ in the next couple of years, especially being 36. Bear Jew's just there for a job, while the natural is there to be the natural champion, and I could totally see that happening in the next year or two.
Yeah, for sure. The kid is still young, and he's one of those fighters who every time we see him, he is getting noticeably better for sure. But I do want to kind of push back a little bit, Meat Boy, because Paul Craig, right? He did most of his work at light heavyweight, came down to middleweight, and that's where this fight is taking place. He's 1-1 since dropping, and you touched on the Brendan Allen fight. Yeah, Brendan Allen really kind of dominated him in that entire contest. Ultimately, got that third round finish, and that was in a Paul Craig meet event, which I think was his first ever. So really his peak opportunity to insert himself near title contention like Brendan Allen is in those conversations, and he lost, right? He got smoked. But that fight before it was against Andre Muniz, and I want to hear your perspective. How much better is this guy, Kyle Bahalio, the fighting nerd, when compared to Andre Muniz? Because stylistically, they're two BJJ Brazilian fighters, similar skill sets. So what to you is way more impressive about Kyle Bahalio versus Andre Muniz, because Andre Muniz got smoked by the Bear Jew. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Andre did get smoked by Bear Jew, but the biggest thing is Mahalio has insane stand-up and he's got insane grappling, but his cardio and his strength, it just seems like he's been able to outstrength everybody. Like it's crazy. Also, his striking is really nice. That's where Paul's gonna want to take it to the mat on him. Muniz doesn't really have a good stand-up. I mean, Bear Jew knocked him out, right? So it's like usually Bear Jew's submitting people for the win. And I think the natural has a good enough jiu-jitsu to prevent that from happening. But I don't know. You just never know with Paul Craig. I'm absolutely avoiding this one, but I think if someone's gonna win, it's got to be the natural. It's a total setup. You let Paul Craig get beat up again, and then you give him to like Brendan Allen, and then winner of that gets title shot.
Yeah, very true. I think I agree with you that Bohalio is probably, I mean, he's the natural for a reason, right? He's a little bit more natural on the feet when compared to Muniz, and it's likely where he's going to want to keep this fight for sure. And then to your point, like the defensive wrestling from Bohalio and obviously the jiu-jitsu game should be enough in theory to deal with Paul Craig and keep it on the feet, though. I also wonder if maybe Bahalio is going to want to make a point on the ground too and really smother Paul Craig with that strength that you touched on, and perhaps win in a fight similar, obviously a different weight class, but similar to how Joe Anderson Brito ends up beating Jack Shore, right? Because similar fight there, two jiu-jitsu guys on paper. One, we think, having the insane strength advantage, however. So I like your points, Meat Boy. They are well taken. Always love Bearju at plus 410 because clearly he has life. He always does. But the pick for sure, I like your points. I'm taking the natural, probably by finish, but definitely, like you said, staying far away from it because Paul Craig is a threat, as we saw against Magomed Ankalaev in literally every second of a fight, even if he's getting dominated throughout the entire contest. So tread carefully, and we're both taking the natural. Any last thoughts?
No, also, the natural has a way better gas tank than Muniz. Muniz is a one pump chump. That is a fact. And then yeah, next to the next fight, another banger.
Yeah, another banger. Dance us over because Demolidor, even though he just fought on UFC 299, says, "Hey, give me a quick return. Put me on UFC 301." And months later, here he is. And originally, he was supposed to be fighting against Mahmoud Muradov, which I think could have been a very fascinating contest. One that we still obviously would have been rolling with Demolidor in. But this one, to me, is a little bit even easier of an opponent. He's taking on Ihor Potieria, aka the Duelist, who is 2-3 in the UFC, is a plus 410 dog in this one, and his 3 losses are to Rodolfo Bellato, not great. Carlos Olberg, respectable. We think Olberg might be future champ, and then Nikolai Nigo Miriano, who not great, closer to Rodolfo Bellato. But he has wins over Shogun. That was an easy light work first round finish, retired Shogun, and then he most recently beat Robert Brychek, who is not great and was making his debut as well. So Michel Pereira, we already know the story, riding an 8-fight win streak. Just picked up a beautiful finish against my boy Michel Oleksiejczuk, and it made it for 2 straight finishes. He smoked Petroski, smoked Oleksiejczuk, and is capitalizing on a beautiful fight win streak. And seemingly has never looked better, Meat Boy. So you taking Pereira in this one? I know you're taking Pereira in this one, but is he getting this one by first round finish, or does the Duelist find a way to survive?
No, 100%. It's a first round finish, maybe even a backflip off the cage, land on the skull KO, something fancy and fun. Um, Pereira is the GOAT. I mean, if you guys aren't entertained, if you guys are not fans, then you should go watch a different sport because Pereira is going to be the best fight no matter what happens. I gotta imagine Pereira is levels above Ihor. I mean, Ihor is low key a bum. He's just kind of a can for everyone to beat up. But yeah, this is gonna be a fun fight. My favorite fights are always Pereira fights. Doesn't matter who his opponent is, he always shows up doing the breakdancing, the triple backflips. Only thing is, hopefully he doesn't gas out like when he did versus Boonstonks. That was unfortunate. But yeah, this is gonna be a one-side mauling, first round KO on the feet.
Yeah, good stuff. First round KO on the feet definitely is possible. And Ihor Poteria is just a guy who's going to be way slower. I mean, he is going to have the youth advantage, but I like your point. As long as Pereira doesn't overmax and do, I mean, I'm putting the over under backflips at 15 during the walkout. So as long as he doesn't crush that over, then he should be good. It shouldn't be a Boonstonk replication because that time obviously was Pereira's first fight. He was just coming into it, and since then he's slowed down on the backflips. So I like Pereira to temper those expectations there. But if you're taking Pereira, and I'm with you, obviously, we can't take Ihor in this contest. Do you think that this fight reaches the second round, or is Pereira going to pick up that early first round finish, basically like he did against Oleksiejczuk? Because that fight barely eclipsed 60 seconds. So is this a plus over under 60-second banger for Michel?
Yeah, I think this is actually one of those under 60-second bangers for Michelle. This is going to be so fun, so easy. I can't wait.
It would basically be 3 straight because he did the same thing to Petroski. So 96% Meat Boys rolling Michel Pereira Demolidor. It's basically all brown for the KO. Only 4% is rolling with the Duelist Ihor. I think Perez getting this one done, obviously Meat Boy, but I'm going to say that Poteria somehow survives 3 minutes. I don't anticipate this fight exiting the first round, but I think Ihor makes it longer than the last 2 opponents of Demolidor. And while I don't think he makes it more interesting, I think he lasts a couple seconds longer, but I'm most excited for the walkout. Demolidor always has the synchronicity with the cornermen, and besides Izzy, I mean, is there anyone with a maybe Alex Pereira as well? Is there anyone with a more interesting, fun walkout than Demolidor?
Honestly, the only one I could think of is Huggy Bear.
Yeah, that's true. Huggy Bear for sure is in that
Yeah, Chris
conversation.
Barnett
Skill-wise,
absolutely
probably not.
brings it.
He absolutely brings it, and skill-wise, perhaps not, but entertainment factor nonetheless. And we're both riding with Demolidor on this one. You ready to switch over to Lionheart Delusions?
Yep, we got Delusions here.
Move us over, Anthony Lionheart Smith. I'm gonna have to provide perhaps a counter perspective on this one, Meat Boy, because I know a lot of people are rolling with Vitor Petrino, the hype beast, who is minus 520 and is taking his undefeated record into Brazil against Anthony Lionheart Smith, who is getting a lot of flack right now. Right? He says he's the best in the world. Is tired of people who argue otherwise, and this is a great opportunity, in my opinion, for him to showcase to everyone that he's not delusional. He really is one of the best in the world, because I'm not yet convinced that Vitor Petrino is one of the best in the world. And if Anthony Lionheart Smith thinks he is, then what an opportunity for him to remind everyone very quickly. So before I even provide any other context, Meat Boy, what are your thoughts on Lionheart Smith versus Vitor? I know you've been riding Petrino for a while, so is he good enough to take out a levels test like Lionheart?
100% because so the only way Lionheart gets this done, in my opinion, is pure toughness, grit, luck, and he somehow survives. He has to get to the later rounds, and I think his veteran, he's fought the best of the best, the worst of the worst, so he's got a lot of experience. Now, if he could somehow drag this on and survive to the second, third round, he might be able to gas out Vitor if Vitor pumps that first round, and maybe he can outstrength him because he's weak, or maybe beat him up and win by points, second and third. But that first round is going to be very scary for Anthony Lionheart Smith. Vitor is going to demolish him or knock him out. The only way Anthony wins is by decision or a finish in the third round because Vitor pump chumps. But Vitor kind of shows us he's got a sneaky gas tank. Like when he fought Tyson, it was like, oh, he gassed after the first round. But then he just kept going just as hard, even though his chest was like moving 30 inches, breathing. His big old chest was like, what the heck? How is he still fighting? It made no sense. So he's got sneaky cardio, but I gotta believe that Anthony Lionheart Smith can keep a pace going, can keep that jab working. That being said, Anthony Lionheart Smith, it doesn't really matter because he's getting knocked out first round. Petrino is the GOAT. He's got absolute bombs in his fist. And this is going to be such a fun fight and a very humbling fight, I think, for Delusional Smith.
Yeah, it could be. And if Vitor goes out there and finishes him in the first round, then yeah, it's a brutal humbling for Lionheart for sure. But I'm just interested, me boy, to see if Vitor is the guy to put out Lionheart in the first round because while yes, I think Vitor has that power, I agree with you. I think he's as dangerous as ever within those first 5 minutes. But Lionheart isn't a dude who ever gets finished in the first round. I mean, went the distance with John Jones. We were there live. Technically, he almost fake won that fight if he if he took the Diego Sanchez exit route. He didn't, but my point is he survived. He didn't get finished in the first round. When he lost to Glover, that was in the fifth round. When he got finished by Magomed, that was his earliest finished loss midway through the second round. And Magomed, in my opinion, is on a completely different level than your boy Vitor. And then most recently, when he got finished, it was against Khalil Roundtree in the third round. So he's surviving first rounds against pretty tough dudes. And I don't know if Vitor is that guy to just sleep him early and often, especially when Lionheart is coming in with the target on his back, maybe a self-imposed target, but one where he says he's still that guy. So he can't afford to come out here and get smoked in the first round. And then you mentioned the sneaky gas tank for Petrino that he demonstrated over Tyson Pedro, but that's against Tyson Pedro, and pretty sure Tyson Pedro retired before he even exited the cage. So a 1 foot out Tyson Pedro, Vitor barely surviving against him and picking up the sneaky gassed out decision. I think that works against 1 foot out TP, but I don't know if it works against Lionheart Smith. So if you're taking Vitor, are you that bullish on a first round finish? And how so if Lionheart historically is a guy who doesn't go down that early?
Yeah, no, historically, you're right. Like, he doesn't go down first round. He's only ever been down first round a few times. Fun fact, last time he got KO'd first round was in 2011. Sounds like he's due, and guess what? Petrino's gonna be the guy to do it. He is absolutely due. It has been way too long. Lionheart should never have gone past the first round in the last 10 years on many fights, but somehow he has. Petrino is gonna start that trend again. First round KO. Anthony Lionheart goes to box Jake Paul, probably gets KO also.
Sign me up for Anthony Smith versus Jake Paul in boxing match because that could be funny. Lionheart probably loses that, and you'd love to see the content that he makes in the return contest against Deji. So interesting stuff for sure. But Tapology, 91% is rolling with me, boy. They're taking Vitor. They think that iCal gets this one done easy, light work over Lionheart, and it's basically all brown for the KO finish. So they're with you all the way. But I gotta fade you, Meat Boy. I gotta trust my gut on this one. I think Lionheart finds a way to get this one done, and I don't know. Something tells me that Vitor isn't quite yet ready for this level, and when he's unsuccessful in getting Lionheart out in those first 5 minutes, I see this becoming bad news bears for the homie, and ultimately he's picking up his first loss. Because if we look at his wins, Tyson Pedro, Modestas Bukauskas, Marcin Prachniow and Anton Turkoglu, the pretty boy or the smile killer, whatever that dude's nickname is, he's not very good, and none of those dudes are Anthony Lionheart Smith. So I'm buying the hype that Anthony's delivering. I know I'm the only one out there buying it because Lionheart is getting it from all angles. But let's go Lionheart. Lionheart finish. You mentioned it. Third round is his potential outcome, and I believe that all the way. So I'm taking Anthony by third round submission. I like the plus 390 money line and sneaky finish for Lionheart. But am I tripping?
Um, I think you're absolutely tripping. Lionheart is in an emo, drunk era, quarter life crisis in his life right now. He doesn't know what to do. He knows he'll never be champion, and he acts like he still has a shot. Dude's in delusional world. He's a drinko. And it's time to cinco. You know.
I think he's drunk on his own belief, meat boy. He is coming back, ready to show everyone he's still got it. But hey, Saturday, time will tell. We shall see. Switches over though, meat boy, because one last banger on this one. It's the meat event. Save the best for last, and it's the cannibal trying to defend his belt in his backyard. Alexandre Pantoja taking on Astro Boy Steve Urseg, who, despite debuting essentially weeks ago, has shot up like his Astro Boy moniker suggests and finds himself in a title fight despite having a two digit number next to his name, which is not something you often see. But when it's a division that Pantoja has essentially cleaned out, any sort of hype, any sort of KO finish in flyweight can net you an opportunity like the one Urseg is getting. So he's plus 160. He's undefeated in the UFC, just 3-0. And he's taking on Pantoja, riding a 5-fight win streak. Just defended it against Royval. I thought that fight was going to be closer than it was, but it really wasn't. Pantoja put it on him start to finish, and he captured the belt by winning a split decision over Moreno in a close fight. But the fight before that was against Alex Perez, who he finished easy light work, and a couple days ago Perez is fake back. So a lot of great stuff from Pantoja recently. Makes sense why he's a minus 200 favorite, but Urseg is a guy with a lot of self-belief and is a dude who thinks he's going to sneak into Brazil and emerge with a belt. So are you taking the cannibal in this one to devour Astro Boy, or you taking Urseg?
Yeah, this is such an interesting one because yeah, Astro Boy, he's only had 3 fights in the UFC, and it's not even versus like notable like oh sick Matt Schnell. Like I mean, I guess if you're a card collector, you might be like really hyped on that win, but beyond that, uh, that's just not even that sick. Like that's like beating Sumu Darji. Like oh cool. Like he didn't beat a Brandon Royval. He didn't beat the Dragon. He didn't beat a Figgy. He didn't beat Kaikar France. He didn't beat Brandon Moreno. Like there's so many people that like it's just like wait he's already getting the title shot. That's so absolute jokes. So I'm glad. I thought Steve Ursek was gonna be the favorite Astro Boy, but I'm so glad that the odds makers are not as big as casuals as I thought they were gonna be. Pantoja is going to decimate this guy. This is a big levels test. Unless I'm missing something, there's just no way Steve gets this done. That's crazy talk, but hey, he's a dog. If you're hype on him, this might be the last time you ever see him as plus money, so take advantage. I don't see it though.
Yeah, great points. If Astro Boy is able to find a way to get this done, then you got to imagine he won't be a dog for his next couple contests. But I like the point you made about the resumes. Pantoja has gone through everyone, has beaten everyone, right? Beat the Royvals, beat him twice, beat Moreno, beat Manel Cop, Alex Perez. A lot of great stuff there for sure. While Astro Boy has the 3 wins, he finished Matt Schnell, and to be honest with the Meat Boy, we picked Matt Schnell in that one. So Urseg really shut us up because that was the easy light work performance of the night finish for him in that one. But it's Matt Schnell, and you know who else got KO'd? You know who else KO'd Matt Schnell? Pantoja, and he did it in the first round, whereas it took Urseg too. So Astro Boy, besides Schnell, also took out Alessandro Costa, who fighting on this card is kind of a low-key Brazilian hype train, but also he beat David Dobrik, and that was performance of the night as well. So I'm with you in the sense that the opponents haven't been as great as Pantoja's, but I was watching UFC Countdown, Meat Boy, and something about Astro Boy suggests to me that this kid is on a next level of self-belief because basically what the coaches were saying were that here's Astro Boy's opportunity to showcase to the world how Pantoja is the second best flyweight in the world. He's coming into this contest not trying to steal a belt from someone, but trying to prove to the world that he's the best flyweight in the world, and he's defending that title essentially. So I don't know if I'm just sipping the Astro Boy Kool-Aid, but I think he might get this one done over Pantoja, and I think he even might get a finish in this one, Meat Boy. And even though Tapology is somewhat bullish on Pantoja, 74%, majority is copper for the sub. Of the 26% back in Astro Boy, there's a lot of brown for that KO. So something tells me that the length of Astro Boy is going to find him a late KO in this one. But if you're taking the Cannibal, what's your last take for how he gets this one done? And is it by finish?
Yeah, I think it's going to be early and often. I think he's going to grab him, take him to the ground, and submit him really easy, really quick. I think he's going to dog rush him. Um, I just can't imagine Ursak doing a Sugar Sean where he steps back and just cracks him. He doesn't seem like that kind of guy. Maybe he could get it done later in the fight, but I feel like the longer the fight goes, the pressure that Pantoja puts on these guys, he breaks everyone. I mean, he's broken everyone he's fought. They are kind of close, but in the end, he beats them in those last 4 and 5 rounds by just putting on an insane pace and never stopping. So I think this is going to be a sad day for all the Ursak fans. And I think Pantoja's going to absolutely ragdoll the Astro Boy and send him back to Mars.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he very well might send him straight back to Mars, but nonetheless, you touched on the grappling angle, and Steve Herceg, while he has been dominating in the UFC with essentially his strikes, he hasn't been utilizing a lot of his wrestling and grappling game. He's a dude who does have 6 submission victories and is no slouch down there as well. This kid is super well-rounded, Meat Boy, and you mentioned the pressure, right? Pantoja usually is able to bully guys and essentially bully beat down, take them down, land strikes if he wants to, essentially imposes whatever will he wants to. But Urseg is a master of space, and I think he's able to keep this one on the feet, and in so doing is able to stuff some takedowns, stiff arm Pantoja, the little meathead, and Urseg is going to be teeing off on him. So I'm taking Urseg in this one. That pressure that he usually puts on guys, I think an even more important pressure is going to be the hometown pressure, and Pantoja is carrying the mantle for this entire card. It's his first title defense in Brazil. A different sort of attention, a different sort of eyes. I mean, he's walking out after Jose Aldo. I don't think Pantoja's built like that, Meat Boy. I think Urseg is. So I'm taking Urseg by 3rd, 4th, maybe even 5th round finish. But I think the kid from Perth, Australia, is here to do it. I just took him to lose to Matt Schnell. Now I haven't beaten Pantoja. The game moves pretty quick, eh, Meat Boy?
Game definitely moves quick, but not quick enough because he ain't going to get away from Pantoja's grip. Pantoja's going to ragdoll him, smother him, and make him tap.
Yeah, let us know, Meat Boys. Are you buying the Astro Boy hype like your boy, or you taking the little meathead Pantoja and riding with Meat? Let us know for sure. Lastly, Meat Boy, straight over for your boy last week, 0-5. You went 2-3, so the snooze fest, what we consider to be one of the worst UFC fight cards in UFC history, is in the rear view. UFC 301, 7-banger. What's your record after this week?
This one I'm feeling definitely a 6-1, 100%.
6-1 for me. I'm going 5-2. I think it's just a traditional 5-2, but one of the dubs for us both has to be the easy Meatlock for the Dragon. So, any last thoughts, Meat Boy?
No, this is a fun card, way better than last week. Still in the comment which one are you excited for, and smash that subscribe. Check the other videos.